Welcome to Good News York, sponsored by Ads on the Go. GetAdsOnTheGo.com. Mike Brindisi flying solo because Matt is home clipping his toenails. It's a long, long process. So here I am with the great Casey White from Chimera Integrations, one of our clients for growth mode content. Casey, welcome. Good morning. Happy Monday.
Good morning. Back to you.
Yeah, man. We were just chatting before we started about the weekend. And we were both just basking in the gloriousness of the weather. And for those of you who think otherwise, you can get sunburned in September in Syracuse.
This is proof right
Yeah.
here. My face is highly
That's sunburn for you?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. I catch on fire when I'm outside unless I have like SPF 800 on.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, no, it was a great weekend. A lot to talk about. I feel like you've explained this a million times, but first, I'll say, the other side of Good News York is we have growth mode content where we have a handful of clients and we produce their podcast for their business, you guys being one of them. So for those that don't listen to or watch the podcast that might be listening or viewing today, tell us about your company and what it is you guys do, because it is pretty remarkable.
Thanks, Mike. First of all, appreciate you pronouncing the company right. That's probably been one of our biggest challenges since we've started.
That's because I probably pronounced it wrong 5 or 6 times before I was corrected.
Slapped you once or twice.
Yes, and
getting to that point.
You're a very strong man, and I don't want that to happen ever again.
So Chimera Integrations, we are. I added that long word to the end of our name against the recommendations of anybody I've ever met in marketing. But I wanted to describe to people that didn't know who we are, what we do. And still, when we say integrations, a lot of people don't know what that means. But ultimately, we take disparate technology, whether it be security, network, cyber protection, audio, Wi-Fi, any sort of HR software management platforms, and we integrate them all together, ultimately to establish some automation and really ease of use for the business owners. So if you can think about your access control platform, which has all your employees, you have a badge, you have a facial recognition credential, and you let somebody go, and everybody knows about the workplace violence issues there are. The minute the IT team or the HR team lets that person go within their HR system, it pulls them out of all their access. It pulls them out of everything that they have in the security system automatically. So this is an effort to fully automate that system so you don't forget about access and let a prior employee back into the building to potentially cause harm or something like that. So long way to describe what an integration is. It's taking technology and combining it into other technology. Our base level of offering is security. So we do video surveillance, design and install and maintenance. We do access control. We do fire alarm, intercom systems for apartments and businesses like this. We do all types of life safety type protection. So worker safety for confined spaces, panic systems for, elderly facilities. We do all types of healthcare technology. So nurse call. So when you're sitting at a bed and you got that button by your bed that calls a nurse, we do those systems as well. Infant protection. So if you're in a maternity ward and someone tries to steal a baby, we have technology to help protect against that. Patient elopement, which would be more for elderly and some, psychiatric care wards and long-term facilities that don't allow patients that shouldn't get out of the building to get out of the building. We do a lot, as you can see. I could keep going.
No, it's incredible because, you kind of answered my next question, which was, what sets you apart from most. Would you consider yourself a security company? Or would
Yes.
you, a security company. Because, for a guy like me, I'll admit it. When I hear security company, I think of cameras, locks, and that's it, right? Yeah. And that's just because that's what most people think of. Everything you just listed are things that are obviously very important, but that the regular person just doesn't think of. And it's amazing what you do. You're like a real life superhero. You're protecting all. What does differentiate you guys from other security companies?
So that's why we didn't want to be considered a security company, because it's kind of synonymous. You hire a security company and they install an alarm system that falses, and you get calls in the middle of the night and you're annoyed and you throw your phone out the window. But we wanted to be a lot more than that. And we wanted to be more of a one-stop shop. We really started, our first vertical that we were successful in was healthcare. So healthcare kind of brought us down that path of doing the infant protection and nurse call and patient safety type systems. So that's kind of how we started going down that path. But what I think really differentiates us in all the different verticals that we work in is our desire to be solutions focused. So when we walk through your building, this is part of the process of becoming a new client of ours, is we do a very comprehensive survey of all of the facilities within that customer's coverage.
So this would be your first step?
Yep.
Okay.
This doesn't cost anything. This is a free survey in a sense, but really our consultants are asking a lot of different questions outside of just where do you want cameras and what doors do you want secure. We ask a lot of probing questions to understand the entire flow and process of the business so that we can kind of come up with other ideas that are creative maybe the customer didn't think about. You call me looking for cameras, I may come back to you and say, I think you really need a lockdown system, a visitor management system at your front door, and a way to track people throughout your facility. So that camera conversation turns into something completely different. And that's because we feel that, cameras are great and they will tell you what happened. But in a lot of cases, they're not stopping an event from occurring. Very often they're a reactive device when we could install a few things that would really stop any opportunity.
Did you just install a security device here?
Did I say a bad word?
My megaphone went off. That was wild. What great timing.
That was perfect.
See, even when he's around, alarms are going off. Sorry about that. I don't know what the hell that was all about.
That's a noise we're very used to hearing.
Yeah.
Not alarming to me at all. The survey process is probably the most pivotal point. And we work with a lot of different stakeholders as well. We're working with security directors, IT directors, facilities, maintenance, sometimes purchasing, HR. So we have a lot of people to cater to. And all of those purchasing entities they do it differently. Their pain points are different. So we have to try to hit and solve all of those stakeholders' pain points with some of the systems that we install. And we've grown so quickly and been so successful at that because we listen and we cater to all of them. We're not looking to provide you what would be most profitable for Chimera or what would be the easiest for my technicians to install. We really take a painstaking approach at delivering a very encompassing solution. And then we follow up and we get the installation done. We train well. We're very active after the sale, and every one of our customers is coming back to us for more and more. So it's a long-term relationship as opposed to a transactional purchase.
Yeah, and see, and that's the first thing that caught my attention, which, by the way, tune into the Chimera Cast, powered by Growth Mode Content. One of your first episodes, what it really caught my ear was, you and Ryan talking about, someone might say, hey, I need security at my place of business or my residence. One of the first things you said you ask is, well, what are you looking to do? Which, when you think of, I need security, well, it's more than just one answer, right? You're like, are you looking to keep people out? Are you looking to be alarmed? I love that you cater. I mean, you cater every single system that you integrate by their layout and what it is they're looking for. It's very customized and it makes so much sense because how my house is laid out is not how my neighbor's house is laid out. But it goes even further. It's not just about where do you want the cameras, it's what type of cameras. Do you want sensors? Talk a little bit about that if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, there was a whole host of different things we have to offer. So imagine a new sales consultant coming to join the team without any experience. It's like drinking from a fire hose for a very long time, understanding everything that we do. But again, we're walking through the building. We're saying, I want to protect this front door. I want to be able to know if my server closet gets above 85 degrees. I want to protect my investment as much as possible. So what are some of the most expensive things that can happen to a property owner? Flooding, expensive equipment being, overheating and having to be replaced, vandalism, lots of different things like that. So, we have valves that can automatically turn off water when a leak is detected. We have the ability to detect how much water is flowing to every apartment in a multi-tenant facility to know if you have a tenant with a leaking or a running toilet. So things like that, as a property owner myself, if I don't go and check that toilet and I don't live there every day, I'm never going to know that. And that thing is just going to sit there and run and run and run. Right. I can install a very inexpensive sensor and know in every single apartment or every single floor of my building what my water usage is.
And that goes right back to what we were saying earlier about, when the regular person hears security, you think of intruders. It's more than that. It's monitoring the heat of your servers. If in the IT department, it's, water leakage, and it's absolutely amazing. Technology is changing daily for the regular consumers and the regular people. For somebody who owns a company like yours, how do you stay up to date on the way things are rapidly changing? I mean, I can't imagine how hard that must be.
Yeah, it is. And it's early on when I was smaller and had less to do, I guess, we were at every single industry event. So we have events called ISC West and East in Vegas and New York City. There's GSX. This year it was in New Orleans. I didn't get a chance to go, but these expos and continuing education is really how we stay on the cutting edge. And on top of all that, the reason I'm even here in this industry is I'm a little bit of a tech nerd myself. So it excites me. I use the equipment myself in my own properties. So I look at every situation and every opportunity as if I am the decision maker at that business.
Love it.
I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So when I go into a hospital, I look at that hospital and say, how can I make this business with the technology that I have more profitable, less headache, less labor expenditure? And that's how we go to market with all of our systems.
Do you find yourself ever walking through, like, I don't know, a Wegmans or anywhere, and you look around and you're like, oh God, I see so many holes. I see so many things that they could upgrade. Is it hard not to do that?
I'm looking up every day. Everywhere I am, if I could be at a museum, I could be out at a park, Wegmans, like you said, I'm looking up and not at the things that I'm supposed to be looking at in the cooler and at the zoo. But yeah, 100%. And there's occasions where I'll actually reach out to that customer after the fact and say, hey, I was on your site and I noticed X, Y, and Z that didn't look like it was in place. Is there opportunity for you to look and expand upon what you're currently doing?
It's funny you just mentioned zoo. One of the questions I had, I was going to save it for the end, but we recently went to the Wild Animal Park in Chittenango, that's a whole other story. Amazing. And we were walking around and we were off air, and I just said to Matt, I go, this guy that owns the animal park is so passionate. It's not just a zoo, right? I mean, he cares about these animals so much and protecting them and keeping them well fed. And I thought, man, I would love to ask, Casey or Ryan, how would, like, off the top of your head, I know you have to see it, but what kind of things would you think about when trying to add security for a zoo?
Yeah. So security, internally and externally, right? You don't want people going into the cage where the animals are. And
Sure.
Of course, you'd want to know if the animals got out too.
Right.
So we do have intelligent video that can tell you where and when the animal is present, but also if a person gets too close to or starts climbing over or reaching through a fence.
Wow.
So we could alert people on that. We actually were working with a zoo. It hasn't gone anywhere yet, but we were working with the zoo to notify people when certain animals were present.
What?
I'm sure you've been to a zoo before and you've walked by the major cages and you just have seen nothing. They're sleeping or hiding
all the time,
wherever that is. So in order to get more engagement, we were designing a system to notify people when the lion was out and
roaming
around.
See, this is what separates you guys. There's so many times we've brought my kids to a zoo or an animal park, and like they can't wait to see the lions, and the lions are nowhere to be found. What a concept!
Yeah, cool. And also, why not bring in an audience that's not physically present, right? So there's some zoos that are considering more of a web presence where you can log in and see the animals remotely. Engaging with people outside of the immediate location. And there's no reason why we couldn't have a wireless button. Simple as that. A wireless button says, I'm now going to feed the lion maybe 5 minutes in advance, 10 minutes in advance, and then it can notify people via text message that the feeding is about to start.
Absolutely brilliant. Casey White, Chimera Integrations. You're a genius, man. Right there, I just threw you a question and you proved again why you guys are so different. It's not just about keeping in or keeping out. There's a lot of thought that goes into what you guys do and how you protect people and businesses, which is why you've been so successful. And let's talk about your expansion. This is exciting. On your last episode of Chimera Cast, which again, check that out, growthmodecontent.com for all that information. You expanded out to Rochester. What's going on there?
Yeah, so Rochester is a very exciting, progressive city. We've always had a little bit of work out there, but we've always dispatched our people out of Syracuse. So you can imagine the time spent was not the most efficient.
Right.
And since we are such a locally focused company, we don't want to try to force our Syracuse mentality down their Rochester throats. So we wanted to bring local Rochester-based people into the Chimera network. So we met somebody, a general manager type that just absolutely fit the Chimera way, and he had some network that he wanted to bring onto the team. So basically in a month, we've gone from very little presence to now having 4 full-time people living in the Rochester area. We have our own office already that we've moved into, and we are now actively promoting Chimera to all Rochester businesses.
That's amazing, man. And do you have any plans for more expansion in the future, or what's down the pipeline?
I've been most successful by not having a plan. So if I told you I want to be in Buffalo by 2026, I think it might be forced and it may not work. So in reality, I walk around with my ears and my eyes open. I'm looking for that Chimera Buffalo or Chimera Westchester County or Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Burlington, Vermont, regional areas.
Wonderful.
I find the people to fit into the position, and then I work the business around that individual.
See, it's like, in business, you're calculated as far as the security process goes. And then in business itself and your expansion, you're also calculated. You talked about walking into public places. You're always looking around, eyes and ears. And in business, you're doing the same thing with expansion. You're just taking it day by day.
Yep.
And that's why I think you guys have been and continue to be so successful. And we're so happy for you. A couple more questions. I was wondering, so you're dealing with, very serious situations in business and in residences of protecting people and places. Are there some legal ramifications that you have to protect yourself from? Do you find that, hey, if this doesn't work, could it fall back on us because we didn't do this properly? How do you kind of avoid that or navigate that?
That is one of the largest risks of most businesses, but it's very, very prevalent in our business, especially in the life safety world. We are installing fire alarm systems to meet building code. And if that fire alarm doesn't work when there is a fire and there's a loss of life or property, that's the kind of stuff that keeps me up at night.
Sure.
So we have a painstaking approach to designing fire alarm systems. We have what's called a NICET level 4 engineer. We actually have 2 on our team, which is the highest level of fire alarm engineer there is. And they're very expensive, and they know a lot of things that I don't even understand. And I make sure that every single fire alarm or life safety system that those engineers are part of designing, helping to do the installation, and then following up with all the as-built drawings and whatever the county or local jurisdiction requires. So that as long as we're doing everything that we can do We manage and maintain those systems yearly, or in some cases quarterly if it's required based off of the entity. We just make sure that we don't mess around and we play by the letter of the law. So if that fire alarm happens or fire happens and the fire alarm doesn't work, we at least know that we did everything we could to maintain and install that properly. And then there could be a number of things that happen.
So yeah, in other words, as long as you know that right up to that point, everything you did was correct, then something may have some other element or environment was the cause. That is something that I feel would keep someone like you up at night. And but you guys do such an amazing job. So it sounds like it doesn't just stop at the installation. It sounds like once you are part of this process, you guys are you always part of the maintenance and monitoring of all that?
Typically, yes. That's a lot of people feel that when you buy a system like that it's a one-time purchase. And that's an old school mentality that we try to get people to change. This is not a one and done. There's really no technology or no systems out there that you don't have to have preventative maintenance, care and feeding, and keep software up to date. Mm-hmm. So everything that we do is meant to be a long-term relationship. We have maintenance contracts and different support plans that our customers can select. It could be ongoing, it could be as needed, but we make sure that every one of our customers are touched at least once a year, just to make sure everything's working, they have what they need, and they're not going to have their own liability or their own systems that are going to fail potentially.
So you're the man. A couple more things. You are talking about, you hire engineers, you hire all sorts of people with high, with a lot of skill. Are you hiring right now? Are you looking? What are you guys looking for? Anything?
100%. Every single one of our offices is hiring, from Plattsburgh to Messina, Watertown, Syracuse, Rochester, Albany. Every single one is hiring. We're looking for salespeople in all locations. We're looking for technicians, engineers, and then also administrative staff. So like I said before, we find the person and they have the right mentality, the right curiosity to learn, the right, the right drive. We'll find a place for them.
Yeah.
We know that there's not going to be a lot of highly skilled, experienced people in our field because it's a very cutthroat business and anybody with a skill set isn't looking for a job. So we do a lot to train completely green people on how to become a technician. The vast majority of our workforce are field techs, from project managers down to just laborers, basically. So you could come to us with no skill set other than knowing which direction of the screwdriver to hold, and we can turn you into an experienced tech and eventually a project manager so that you can really have a lifelong career here. So
I love that you said that, because that is, from my point of view, if I was in that field, it might be different, but I would think, man, this is intimidating. Look how, great this company is. They deal with such serious situations. I don't know if I'm ready for that. So it sounds like you can have some skill or little to no skill, and most of it will be taught in the field and on the job.
Absolutely.
And that's awesome.
We have the infrastructure. We have the experience already on the team. They're very happy. They're going to remain with us. We are always keeping our skilled veterans happy and trained so that we can continue to populate and bring in more and more. And our growth pattern has been so huge. We're up to 60 in 8 years, and we're looking to be probably in the hundreds in the next 2 years. So we have to find a way to continue to funnel in talent. And it's not from hiring or pulling out of schools. It's not from college educations. We are literally educating and training every single one of our employees to learn this business.
Absolutely amazing. So, I don't have to say this. I mean, I feel like it speaks for itself, but I want to. Anyone I've ever met who's worked for you or with you, that's been on your podcast, Chimera Cast, or that I've met, have just raved about working for your company, and you really do take care of your employees, and it shows. Everyone I've met is just happy to be there. They love everything about it. So I think that's a tip of the cap to you, and we love you, man. Where can people go if they want to apply for any of these positions or check out any of the job listings?
There is job listings and communications. There's a job postings either on LinkedIn, or you can go to our website, ChimeraIntegrations.com. If none of those job postings make sense to you, apply anyways, because we are very
you can find a place.
we're very loose as far as what our job descriptions are.
Okay.
You have the right mentality, you have a desire to learn, and you want to show up every day, we'll find a fit for you.
I love that,
We'll
man.
get creative and get you in the company.
Last thing, we were talking about expansion, and expansion's great, and you're doing it at a fairly rapid pace. But what I love about you and Chimera Integrations is you are very local as far as you like to support local and promote local. You want to talk about that a little bit? Because I think that's such a huge part of your mission statement.
Absolutely. This is a small community. This community is poised for massive growth, which means that community is going to start to change. And I just think it's so important, not only with our purchasing. So we have a machine that we need to feed, and we do our absolute best to buy from vendors that are local and support vendors that are local. So I really hope that as the community grows and the Microns come in and the other supporting businesses come in, that they really look to the local installers and security companies first. We're not the only one in town, but there are a few other local ones that are also very good. And it is so important to feed the local economy. I mean, everybody talks about supporting local, but in reality, it doesn't happen as much as you wish it would.
100%.
I mean, we live here, we hire here, we have, in this case, 20 local technicians right down the street. How can you hire a company from Houston or Philadelphia or California to come in and support your business when you know that we got to come and touch your systems at least once a year? We have to maintain those systems within a couple hours in the case of an emergency service call. Why are you not looking to local vendors to do that? You're almost saying to us that we are inadequate because we live in Syracuse.
Yeah, it does.
Quite the opposite.
I could see how you could feel that way. I mean, you might think, oh, that's a little exaggerated. No, it does feel that way.
It feels that way. And I think there's a mentality that feels that way, and that has to change. And get a chance to talk to us and see what we do. We are going to blow the national companies out of the water with our response times, with our capabilities, our creativity, our desire to create solutions. The big national companies, they're publicly traded. You know what they're about. They're looking for profit, and they're looking for what suits them the most. So,
and that is not
all the things.
That's not Chimera. No. I know that firsthand.
Quite the opposite.
Absolute last question. All right. So it's just kind of a throwaway, but I'm interested. So I obviously know minimal about home security, but I have a Ring doorbell system front and back, and I've got indoor cameras as well. For the regular old Joe like me or anybody, what do you suggest for just basic home security? I know that you guys would like to go and look at the layout, but just do you have any recommendations? Is Ring okay in your book?
It is. So that's not a system that we provide. And we really generally avoid residential altogether because those large companies, Ring is owned by Amazon. There's Google Nest and there's Simply Safe.
Yep.
They have monster marketing budgets. They have very low cost hardware. Most of it is self-installation. So everything I just said kind of pulls Chimera out of the running to do any of that stuff because we have highly paid technicians. We have extremely high-end software and systems. So all that to say is we typically help a residential customer land on a product like
That's awesome.
Ring is good. The Nest is good. I may or may not have a couple Nest cameras in my own house, which I'm a little embarrassed about, but I don't have a lot at this moment to protect, and that's changing right now. But it was a tough question for me because it's not.
No, I apologize. Maybe I shouldn't have asked. The only reason I asked it is because I know that you guys don't really, do residential. I would certainly not ask about another company knowing that you you don't do residential. But I just didn't know if. I guess I basically was wondering if those are okay in your book to use.
They're okay if you are looking for convenience and basic overall understanding what's going on at your home. Perfect. If you are truly looking for security and you feel the need to protect and you're worried about true break-in artists getting into your home, I would not recommend any of those systems because there are Wi-Fi and cellular jamming technologies out there. It's actually very, very recent where people have been using this technology.
Wow.
And all they do is they jam your cell signal. So if that's your communication path, that system can no longer call the local jurisdiction.
No way.
You can buy that for $25. I can buy it. Now that I'm promoting it, somebody else could go find it. And they could just jam your system from working. So we do have higher end systems, and maybe this will bring residential back around to our boat where we can protect.
I tell you what, now I'm glad I asked that question because that was the reason I asked for something like that. And we had some, in my neighborhood, we had some people going through cars. They would hit us, like the neighborhood, once every month for a while. And they would hit like the entire neighborhood and up. And it was like, and we would all text each other, did you check your ring footage? Nobody had them. And I'm wondering if maybe that was the case.
That was probably the case.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. So now we have wireless systems that can detect jamming frequencies. So when the jamming starts, now we're immediately calling the police, bringing the police out. So there's your opportunity to solve that. And maybe Ring will come up with a system like that and you'll be able to add it to yours. But today, as far as I understand, they don't have that.
That's amazing.
If you're very concerned about that, then we can definitely help you out.
Well, I mean, just in answering that question, you proved again why Chimera Integrations and you, Casey White, are the best, man. We love you so much. Any last minute plugs before we go? Where can people find your website, the Chimera Cast? Go ahead, give it to us.
ChimeraIntegrations.com. That's spelled Chimera, not Chimera. ChimeraIntegrations.com. You'll get all the information you need from there. We have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, and we have a LinkedIn page. And we'd love to see some people come in and look into our business as a possible career path. And of course, our day-to-day business thrives on end user clients. So if anybody's listening, we would love to help come create a solution to make your business safer, healthier, more automated, all of the above.
Casey White, Chimera Integrations. There's nobody better. If you're looking for someone to protect you or your business, look no further than Chimera Integrations and check out their great podcast, Chimera Cast. Casey, thanks so much for your time today, man. And we'll be seeing you soon.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you.
For Good News York, sponsored by Ads on the Go, getadsonthego.com. That's it for today on this Monday, and we'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully Matt will be done clipping by then, and we'll see you then.